Hello everybody, welcome back to Super Tech Services. This is Brian and we have a really cool video for you guys today. On today's video, we're going to be showing you how to troubleshoot, isolate, narrow down, diagnose, whatever you want to call it, common image problems that you have on the color copier Konica C754e. This works on various other color models as well. So we'll be going through some of the common issues that arise on these machines and how you can go about and fix them. We get a lot of email for people asking us to troubleshoot through email with pictures, and while pictures are okay, video does a lot more justice. So this video should definitely help out with some of the issues, maybe not all, but most of the common ones you'll find on a color copier that's made by Konica. So let's get started. Okay, so in this video I'm going to be touching on everything very lightly, but we'll be going through Consumable Life, internal test prints, imaging units and fuser unit, imaging belt and transfer roller, cleaning sensors and pH glass, gradation and initialization, and P codes. These will basically all have something to do with the image process. We're going to touch on all of them. Okay, so first thing we're going to be doing is checking the consumable life. So you can hit utility and then you'll see number 5 there, check consumable life. What this menu does is show you basically where you're at with your imaging units, developing unit, drum unit, fusing unit, and image belt along with transfer roller. It'll let you know when it was replaced, how full it is. Our cyan unit, you can see there at the top, has full bars, meaning it was just replaced. You actually can see the percentage there as well. So when you see 18% is getting low, and it might actually start causing you problems. It may or may not, but it's a good place to start. And it also gives you the dates when they were replaced, which is very helpful. If you may or may not know, you can have a brand new imaging unit that's sitting in a machine for 3 to 4 years that doesn't get used, that still goes bad as well. So it may have full bars, but still be an issue. Now keep in mind that you can rechip these, so that may give you false readings. So once again, keep in mind if these were rechipped by a technician, the unit may not be brand new. It's just showing you that on the screen. So on page 2 we'll see the fusing unit, transfer roller unit, image transfer belt unit, and the toner filter and ozone filter, which you don't have to worry about. Okay, so basically we're just going back to the first page, just showing you the consumable life. Remember to check the dates, check the bars. It's just a good place to start if you're having issues with like magenta and you see that there's only 1 or 2 bars left. You might want to start there when troubleshooting. Alright, let's move on. Okay, so next we'll be printing out, talking about the internal test prints, which is the demo page. So you can see, go into the menu there, printer settings, and then hit print reports and demo page. I cannot stress how helpful this page is when troubleshooting if you just want to get a quick glance at how the copier is doing internally. So we'll just hit start and wait for that to print out, and I'll show you guys what the page looks like. Okay, so here's the demo page. This is the one we printed, and it may seem like everything is pretty normal. You'll see the reds, the greens, the blues, the black, and all the other colors there. The image looks pretty decent, and you got the bird there with the background, which looks to be somewhat okay. But I'm going to show you now why this image has a little bit of an issue. As you scroll down here, you see that turns green, and that should not be that color. I'm going to show you another sample here, and I'm going to lay it on top and show you exactly what a correct one looks like. Okay, so you can see the 2 demo pages I have. The one is good, the other one's bad. Now follow the RGB black all the way down and you can see that it stays consistent, and that one turns green. So once again, let's take a look at the good one and the bad. The good one stays consistent and the bad one turns green. So you definitely want to scrutinize all the colors, make sure nothing's changing color, and just look at the picture, look at the text, look for marks on the image. That would also show you some of the problems that it's having. Now what would cause this? This could be a bad imaging unit or an imaging unit that is yield, basically one that has ran its course and it is time for replacement. So let's go and move on to the next thing, which will be internal test prints from inside Tech Rep mode. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is go into tech rep mode. Stop 00, stop 01 is how you get in. I had videos on that as well, so if you missed it, don't worry. Then you're going to want to go ahead and select test mode, and we're going to be running the gradation pattern and the halftone pattern. You're going to select CMYK, and that'll print out 4 colors. After that prints, just go back and select halftone and print CMYK as well. This will print out another 4 samples that we can use to scrutinize to see if there's any issues. Now, this should be how these samples look. Don't mind the little mark at the bottom. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the samples should look exactly like this. Nice and solid on the left, and then start to fade away. If you see any issues on any individual color, smears, streaks, or anything like that, you may have an issue with that color's imaging unit. But if your color looks nice and solid, you should be good to go. Now we'll take a look at the halftone. Look how solid those are. Once again, if you saw any marks, void marks, smudging, you'll probably have an issue with that color's imaging unit. So these all look pretty good. So we can say that at least we know that the imaging units are working how they should be. Next, we will talk about the mark at the bottom of those copies. Okay, so now we're going to be discussing streaks that are on every single color print, like what you're seeing below. So let me move this magenta around, and you can see that the same exact marks are on every single color. Now, when that happens, it's pretty easy to troubleshoot because you know it's not one specific color, but it has to be a unit that is passing all paper through. So it's usually only 2 things, which would be the imaging belt or the fusing unit. It could also be the transfer roller as well. We'll discuss that later, but that usually doesn't cause any problems. And another thing that I can do is actually feel the paper with my thumb and feel that it actually has markings on it. So that usually tells me that it's either the imaging belt or fusing unit. So the fusing unit definitely causes more marks like that. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the fusing unit and see what that looks like. Okay, now we're taking a look at the fusing unit. Pulled it out, and I'm just going to place the sample right underneath there and see if it matches. So it's also another good thing to do. You can pull an imaging unit out, fusing unit belt, and see if the mark matches. As you can see, they're about the same length, same width, so we can confidently say that the fusing roller is bad and just needs replacement. So that's a pretty easy fix there to check the fusing unit, see if the mark matches. If it does, go ahead, replace that unit, and you should be good to go. Alright, so now we're going to move on to some of the other issues that you can have with some of the other units. Okay, now we're going to move on to removing the imaging belt and cleaning its sensors. So, cleaning these sensors are very important. You don't hear too many people talking about this. Even me, when people ask for help, I kind of forget about these 2 sensors here. Just make sure you go in, remove that little frame, that or cover that I just removed, and keep these little sensors clean. These give the reference point for the belt on how the color should start when it does its stabilization as well. So if these sensors are dirty, your colors could be off a little bit as well. If the sensors go bad, you'll definitely get an error code. Okay, so here's how you clean the sensors. Make sure you use a rag, just make sure it's nice and dry. Clean the sensor, then just clean the top. Once again, sensor, then clean the top, and you're good to go. Now, let's remove the imaging belt. Okay, so now we're going to remove the imaging belt. It's just 1 screw on the right, 1 screw on the left. Take the little guides where the screws came out, kind of release them a little bit, and the unit will pull right out. And look at that. That is a beautiful looking imaging unit. That's exactly how your imaging unit should look. If you have any streaks, marks, smudges, labels, anything stuck to this unit will directly reflect on your prints, and you can remove this unit and inspect it and see what's going on. So this unit transfers the image to the paper and then cleans itself, so it should be nice and clean like how you see here. This unit does have a high yield. Don't quote me, it's either 500,000 or 1,000,000 copies, so this unit can last a long time. But you will start to notice issues when it does go bad, like it's not cleaning anymore. You'll see smudges on all of your prints. It doesn't matter what the color is. You also may see some registration issues where you almost get like a ghost-like image, and that'll be the image belt. That'll be when the image belt needs replacement. Okay, now let's move on to the transfer roller. That is the transfer roller there. It's very easily removable. Just kind of lift them up. Now I gotta say, I've never replaced this probably ever on a machine. I did replace one when I thought it would help fix a problem, and it did not fix it at all. So I just wanted to cover that this can go bad. It's very, very rare, so you shouldn't really have to mess with this. But if you do, it's pretty easy to replace. It's also supposed to be replaced at a certain time, but I don't think anybody ever does. Alright, that was the transfer roller. Move on to the imaging units. There are 4 of these, and they're yellow, magenta, cyan, and black. And these are going to be the source of most of your problems. I saved this for last but not least. The imaging units are usually what is going to be, I would say, probably 70 to 80% of your problem. So what we want to do first is, if you're having any slight issues, you can take this little cleaner tool. First, you want to just pull this little grid cleaner here back and forth. So you always want to do this before you even remove the imaging units. Just make sure they're nice and clean, and then go ahead and run some copies and see if the problem went away. If they didn't, then you'll just go ahead and remove. So you can see that these are nice and clean, and this is exactly how you want it. If there's any smudging there, like any yellow on there, then you know some yellow toner or developer has gotten on the print head glass. So you definitely want to always keep these nice and clean. Just periodically go in and clean these print head glass. But like I said, if your issue is not resolved from that, you're going to go ahead and remove the unit like I'm doing here and do a visual inspection on it. Okay, so I pulled out the yellow imaging unit, and basically you just want to go and do a visual inspection like we did on the fusing unit, like we did on the belt. See if you see any streaks, smudges, any type of marks on there, anything stuck to it, and then you can match it up to your sample and see if it has any, if it actually matches. This drum looks pretty good. There's only one slight small streak, which shouldn't cause any problems, so this one should be okay. You can also have void marks as well. Now that's when the developer on the inside of the imaging unit runs a little low. And you would also have to replace the imaging unit as well. They come in a 2-for-1 pack. So one unit is developing and drum in one. Now here we're going to be removing the black unit. This is the only unit that actually separates. So it has the drum on top and developing unit, and they're separate, and you replace these separately. So you would do the same thing, which would be visually inspect the drum for any marks and remove it, and you're also going to be visually inspecting the developing unit. So here we'll take a look at the developing unit first. And what you're looking for here is you want it to be nice, solid, black, just how it looks. If there's any white void areas, it may be low on developer, or the unit itself is going bad. You do see a little sprinkles of white dust in there. That's still okay. But like I said, if it's any void areas, that will be a problem. I'll do another video on how to clean up the void areas as well. So that's the DV unit, and this one looks pretty good. Just make sure it's nice and solid. Okay, back to the drum. Same thing, visual inspection. Looks pretty good up close. Don't really see any marks. We don't have any marks on the copies as well. Just a little bit of toner there on the right hand side, and that is perfectly fine. Okay, now we're going to head back to the copier and go back into tech rep mode and discuss some additional features. The first one we're going to discuss is P codes. These are little codes that help you troubleshoot imaging problems, and you will only get a P code if you have a problem. and this copier does not. But right below where you see service mode, there will be a little icon that pops up there like a little oil can. You'll go ahead and tap that, and then you'll see the P code pop up. And that P code will give you a number, and you can look that number up and see what exactly it refers to. Usually means you need to replace an imaging unit. Okay, next we're going to be talking about gradation. I already have a video on this, so you can check it out. But if your colors are a little bit off, or you want to improve the quality of the printer and the copier, you can run a gradation adjust. This gets the colors back aligned, kind of gets everything back where they need to be, and works quite well. This is something we use every time we're refurbing a copier. So this is something you should do, but make sure you clean your sensors first before running this. Okay, next up is initialization. This is something if you've done everything and nothing's working, you just want to reset everything, start from scratch. Go into the stabilization menu and press initialize and image stabilization. These things will reset the base numbers. It'll have to restabilize again, then run gradation. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's nice to try. Okay, the last thing is a full system initialization. This did help us one time for whatever reason. We did a full wipe of the machine. Once again, same thing. This will wipe all your data, so do not do this unless you know how to put all your data back in. This will wipe all the data, your copy settings, fax settings, network settings. You'll have to re-enter everything if you did not back this up. So once again, just a last-ditch effort for full system. Okay, and the final thing I'll be talking about today, which would be the paper trays, and just making sure that your paper is properly loaded. Also, if it's thicker paper, that it's properly set. So if you have plain paper in there, that's make sure it's set for plain. If it's a thicker paper, make sure it's set for thicker paper, because that can also disrupt your image. And as you can see here, I'm going to open up this bottom tray, and you're going to see that the paper in here is not loaded correctly. This can also mess your image up. You can get a skewed image, which can also give you some possible registration issues. So once again, just make sure your paper is properly loaded and properly set. Okay everyone, thank you for watching. That was how to troubleshoot your common issues with the Konica color machines C754, 654. Once again, just make sure you take out units, do inspections, check the imaging units, check the imaging belt, fusing unit, transfer rollers, make sure your paper is loaded correctly before you change any parts. You can usually visually see most of the stuff unless it's the developing unit inside of the imaging unit. It's probably the only thing you can't see, but you will get some white void marks if that is the case. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please send us an email at info@supertext3.com. We will try and help you as much as possibly can over there, and we will see you guys on the next video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.